let's do number 3. All right, so the first step, again, is to draw your line and separate your two sides. Okay, and then we're going to figure out how many terms we have. So remember, terms are separated by plus and minus signs. So I'm going to go right here in front of this minus sign. And so on the left, I have 2 terms. And on the right side, I have 1 term. So then I'm going to look at, this time, multiples. What are my multiples? What are the multiples of 4, 20, and 10? So 4 would be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, ... 20, 40, 60, 10, 20, 30, 40. So if you look, okay, what is the smallest multiple that they all have in common? So that would be 20. So then I'm going to multiply all 3 of these terms by 20. So then we're going to go through, I'm going to go, okay, how many 4s are in 20? That would be 5. So I cancel this, and I cancel this, and this is times 5. So this is 15a. How many 20s are in 20? Well, that's 1. So then 1 times negative 13 is just negative 13. How many 10s are in 20? So that would be 2. So that would be, I'm going to do this times 2. So that's going to be positive 2 times negative 7, which is negative 14. And then we're going to move the constant by adding 13 to both sides. So I'm bringing down the 15a equals negative 1. The last step is always to solve by dividing. So my answer would be a equals negative 1/15. Okay, so let's look at number 4. Again, separate your left and right side. On the left side, we have 2 terms. The right side, we have 1 term. And I suggest boxing them in until you get used to these. Practice makes perfect, so we get a lot better at equations as we go. All right, so my denominators are 3, 2, and 6. The smallest multiple they have in common is 6. So I will multiply every single term by 6. How many 3s are in 6? There's 2. So I'm going to multiply the top by 2. That's 8x. How many 2s are in 6? That's 3. So times 3. 3 times 3x is 9x. How many 6s are in 6? Well, that's 1. So 1 times 17 is just 17. So then 8x and 9x becomes 17x equals 17. So then when I divide by 17 on both sides, x is equal to 1. Okay, so let's really look at this one. First step again is to separate your left and your right side of your equation. Now, ask yourself, how many terms do you see on the right side? Because on the left side it's 1. But how many terms do you see on the right side? And so I want you to think about it like this. If this, and this is not pertaining to this, I just want you to think about it. If I said 1/2 times x plus 3x, and I said, okay, well, how many terms do you see now? You can easily tell me that that's 2, right? So if you look at the example that we're going to do, pretend that everything inside these parentheses is the same as that x. If you think about it, the parentheses protect everything inside of it. So technically, you only have two terms here. You have this term here, and you have this term here, okay? And if you look, remember the whole point of this is to clear the fraction. So technically the only fraction that you have is a 2. So I would multiply every term by 2. Now, so negative 25 times 2 is negative 50. When I multiply here, again, the parentheses protect what's inside. So I'm doing 1/2 times 2. 1/2 times 2 is just 1, okay? And technically, we don't even need to write that. This would be plus 6x, because 1 times all of this is just all of that. So technically, I just write negative 50 equals 10x minus 2 plus 6x. So then we're going to combine like terms. So on the right side, I have 10x plus 6x is 16x. Bring down the 2, the negative 2, and bring down my negative 50 on this side. So now I'm going to move the constant to the other side, so that's going to be plus 2 on both sides. That's going to give me negative 48 equals 16x. And if I divide by 16 on both sides, I'm going to get x is equal to negative 3. Yay! Okay, let's try this big scary looking one. All right, so first thing we're going to do, separate our left and our right side. Then we're going to look at our terms. So remember, terms are separated by plus and minus signs. So right before this, I have a negative or minus there. So that would be a separation. And then right here, I have another separation. Remember, we don't mess with anything inside those parentheses. They're protected. And then on this side, I have one term. So we're going to multiply every term by the least common denominator. Well, we only have one fraction, so we only have one denominator. So we're going to multiply all of these terms by 2. So this is times 2, times 2, times 2, times 2. So 7 times 2 is 14. And then how many 2's are in 2? That would be 1, which is the whole point because we're canceling it. That leaves me with negative 5 outside. Bring down your parentheses. 2 times positive 2r would be positive 4r. And that's going to equal 2 times 32, which is 64. Now, we've got to distribute. This is when we distributed on the last lesson. So, bring down my 14. Do not forget to distribute the negative 5 to both terms. So, negative 5 times 8r was going to give me negative 40r. Negative 5 times negative 6 is going to give me positive 30. And then bring down my 4r and my 64. Now, I want to combine like terms. So I'm going to put the r's together. And I'm going to put my constants together. So negative 40r plus 4r is going to give me negative 36r. And 14 and 30 is 44. And that's going to equal 64. So now I'm going to move my constant. by subtracting it. Bring down the 36r, the negative 36r. These cancel because they equal 0. 64 minus 44 is going to be 20. So then I'm going to solve by dividing because that's always my last step. The whole point of solving an equation is to get the the x value, or get the variable by itself. So here I'm left with r equals 20 over negative 36. And then I ask myself, can those simplify any further? Is there a number that I can take out of both of those? And so then I go, okay, I could take out a 4. I can divide both the top and the bottom by 4. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Negative 36 divided by 4 is negative 9. So my answer is R equals, and understand this can be written 3 different ways. I can write negative 5 over 9. I can write 5 over negative 9. Or the way you're going to see it written in like textbooks and stuff, or tests, or they're going to put the negative right in the middle. So when you see that, just think that either the 5 or the 9 is negative. They both can't be negative, because then you would do a negative divided by a negative, and it would be a positive. So my answer here is R equals negative 5/9.